Kim Hye-jin was a girl who turned heads wherever she went. With her radiant smile and graceful charm, she was the kind of beauty that made people pause and admire. Everyone loved her, teachers, friends, even strangers. But as the years passed, life played a cruel trick on her. Her once glowing skin turned dull. Her silky hair became frizzy. And the beauty that everyone once adored slowly faded. Now, as an adult, Hye-jin looked nothing like the girl she used to be. Her face became the subject of mockery, and people whispered about her appearance behind her back. No matter where she went, she was met with judgmental eyes and cruel comments. She worked quietly in a small bar, doing her best to survive. But even there, she couldn't escape humiliation. Customers openly compared her to the other bartender, a young, stunning woman with flawless looks. Their laughter stung like needles. Still, Hye-jin forced a smile, bowed politely, and served their drinks. Inside, she was breaking. But outside, she wore her mask, the mask of a woman pretending not to care. Min Hari, Kim Hye-jin's best friend since childhood, was everything Hye-jin once was, and more. She was effortlessly beautiful, confident, and graceful. But despite the glaring contrast in their appearances, beauty standards had never come between them. Their friendship was pure and genuine, or at least, that's what Hye-jin believed. One day, at Hari's birthday party, the crowd was lively. Music echoed through the air, and laughter danced in every corner. Everyone had their eyes on Hari, the star of the night. Then suddenly, in a moment of chaos, Hari slipped and fell into the pool. Before anyone could process what had happened, several guys jumped in after her without hesitation. Hands reached for her. Voices called her name. All rushing to her rescue like she was a fragile diamond. Just moments later, Hye-jin too slipped and fell into the same pool. But there was no splash of concern. No one noticed. No one jumped in. No one even looked her way. Thankfully, the water was shallow, and she pulled herself out. But as she stood there, drenched and shivering, she saw the crowd huddled around Hari, laughing, comforting, admiring. It was as if she didn't exist. She was invisible. The sting of that moment cut deeper than words. Holding back tears, Hye-jin quietly stepped away from the celebration, her heart heavier than the soaked clothes she wore. Kim Hye-jin had a childhood sweetheart. A chubby, quiet boy named Ji Sung-joon. Everyone used to tease him for his appearance. He was shy, always alone. But Hye-jin never laughed at him. She sat beside him, shared her lunch, and always defended him. They became best friends. She was the only one who truly cared for him. Their bond grew stronger every day. But one day, Sung-joon told her he had to leave for the US. Before leaving, he gave her the last piece of their unfinished puzzle. And he promised. "Let's complete it when we meet again." Then, he left. Years later, she got a message from him. He was back. She decided to meet him. In the cafe, she saw a chubby guy. Happily, she approached him. But it wasn't him. Then, a handsome man appeared. She was shocked to see the drastic change. He came toward her. But unfortunately, he mistook another beautiful woman nearby as Hye-jin. Because he only remembered her as beautiful in their childhood. Heartbroken, Hye-jin didn't say a single word. She lost the courage to face him. Later, she told Hari about what happened. Told her everything, her heartbreak, her shame. She didn't have the strength to meet Sung-joon again. So she asked Hari to go instead because she was beautiful. The next time they met, Sung-joon was very happy to see her. Hari handled the conversation well. Because Hye-jin had already taught her the questions he might ask. Even when some unexpected questions came up, she still managed to answer them. Before parting, she told him she would be going abroad, so they wouldn't meet again. Sung-joon felt sad, but still, he wanted to give her a gift. He suddenly ran to a nearby shop and returned with a small box. He handed it to her with a smile. At home, when Hari opened the gift, it was an umbrella. Hye-jin remembered Ji Sung-joon was afraid of rain. His mother had died on a rainy day. Since then, he always feared the sound of rain. Back in school, Hygiene used to cover him and comfort him whenever it rained. She would stay by his side and give him strength. Now, when she saw the umbrella, she understood its meaning. It wasn't just a gift. It was proof that he still remembered. He still cared. Even if he didn't know who she really was. A part of their bond remained. The next day, she had an interview. The morning was messy. She was already late. She entered the elevator in a rush. Right after her, a beautiful woman stepped in. Suddenly, the elevator beeped. It was overloaded. Without thinking, the beautiful woman pushed Hygiene out. During the interview, they asked her why she never worked anywhere for more than 3 months. Hygiene answered honestly. One company went bankrupt. In another, the CEO was arrested. The other candidates laughed. Hygiene sat there silently. She already knew the result even before the interview ended. But when she reached home, she got an email. She was selected. She couldn't believe it. Both Hygiene and Hari jumped with joy. They hugged and celebrated together. But fate had other plans. When she reached the office, she found out that the deputy chief editor she had to work with was Ji Sung-joon. She froze on the spot. Her reaction was priceless. She panicked and quickly hid herself. Though Sung-joon didn't recognize her, Hygiene did everything she could to avoid him. Each unexpected encounter sent her heart racing. One day, while trying to escape an awkward moment, she dashed into the elevator only to find herself face to face with him. Panic gripped her instantly. Her heart pounded, her reactions uncontrollable. She stood frozen, praying he wouldn't recognize her. Just then, the elevator lights began to flicker. Fear overwhelmed her. Seeing her distress, Sung-joon reached out and pulled her back gently, trying to steady her. His eyes landed on her name tag, Hygiene. The name triggered a faint memory. It belonged to his first love. But the woman standing before him didn't match the face in his memories. He dismissed the thought. She sat down, breathing heavily, overwhelmed. He quietly placed a headset beside her, the same way she once had done for him during their childhood. She was stunned by the gesture but remained silent. She couldn't bring herself to reveal her identity. Her first assignment was with the fashion magazine team, working under Sung-joon himself. On the first day of the shoot, her shoes were dirty, and she left visible footprints on the clean white set. Sung-joon noticed immediately and criticized her for her carelessness and lack of professionalism. She bowed and apologized. The editor-in-chief soon arrived and noticed her unpolished appearance. She mocked Hygiene's curly hair, calling it messy and unfit for the fashion world. Hygiene replied softly, saying her hair was naturally curly. Sung-joon overheard this. His memory briefly flashed back to a rainy childhood day, a girl with similar curls. The thought lingered, but the pieces still didn't come together for him. Despite everything, Hygiene was pushed aside. She was told she didn't have the beauty to represent a fashion magazine, and so she was given the heavy physical tasks nobody else wanted. That night, feeling nostalgic and lonely, Sung-joon sent an email to the Hygiene he remembered, not knowing who would read it. With Hari's help, the real Hygiene replied. Her warm response touched him deeply, lifting his spirits. At work, Sung-joon continued to act cold and demanding. The branch was under threat of closure, and he was tasked with raising its performance within a month. Under intense pressure, he became harsher, especially with Hygiene. During a brainstorming session for the company's anniversary, he rejected everyone's ideas. He was especially unimpressed with Hygiene's and asked her to leave the room. His criticism cut deep. Though his intention wasn't cruelty, he was desperate to protect the team and keep the branch alive. One day, she tripped and accidentally fell into his arms. He caught her out of reflex but immediately let go, telling her she seemed unstable. In the elevator, the tension continued. He made a sharp remark, saying that her name didn't suit her. Because it belonged to someone who once meant a lot to him. Those words hit her harder than anything else. She had stayed silent, endured everything, watched him from the shadows. But now, anger and heartbreak collided. The person he missed was standing right there, and he couldn't even see her. After enduring everything silently, Hyejin finally gathered the courage to speak out. In front of her colleagues, she criticized Sungjun's rude attitude and claimed he must have no real friends. But in that moment, Sungjun was standing right behind her. When she turned and saw him, she froze in panic and screamed. Without a word, he picked up the file she was sitting on, gave a sarcastic glance, and walked away. Later that day, Sungjun arrived at a luxurious hotel for a business meeting. There, by chance, he saw Hari. Surprised, he approached her and questioned her presence. Hari, acting quickly, hugged him and discreetly discarded her name tag. She pretended that she had received a better job offer locally and hadn't found time to inform him. He believed her and felt genuinely pleased, thinking they could meet often. After he left, Hari tried to call Hyejin, but her call went unanswered. That night at home, when Hari attempted to explain what happened at the hotel, Hyejin was already upset due to Sungjun's harsh treatment at the office. Filled with frustration, she cut ties emotionally and refused to hear anything more about him. Seeing this, Hari decided to handle everything on her own. The next day, while crossing the road, Sungjun heard a familiar phrase echo from the past. It reminded him of his childhood with Hyejin. At that very moment, Hyejin was crossing the street nearby, but they missed seeing each other. To confirm his feelings, he called Hari, who lied and said she was somewhere else. Back at the office, Hyejin once again fumbled during a meeting. She struggled with the projector, causing mild chaos, but eventually managed to get it working. Shin Hyuk observed her closely and realized she was deeply afraid of Sungjun. He continued to annoy her, but her irritated reactions began to amuse him. Unknowingly, something about her began to interest him. Later, Sungjun asked Hyejin to prepare the meeting report. Overwhelmed, she sought help from others, but no one was available. When she submitted the report, it was full of mistakes. Sungjun harshly criticized her and even questioned how she managed to get the job, implying she entered through connections. The accusation deeply hurt her. On her way home, she was completely exhausted due to the physical work she was assigned as punishment. Yet, she still offered her seat to elderly passengers on the bus. At home, she vented all her frustrations, the unfamiliar fashion terms, the bullying at work, and the constant failures. Hari listened calmly and reminded her that improvement would come only through learning, not blaming others. That night, lying in bed, Hyejin realized her mistake. Determined to grow, she visited Hari's fashion bookshelf to begin studying. There, she found a handwritten note. A heartfelt message from Hari written long ago to cheer her up. That note lifted her spirits and gave her the push she needed. From that moment on, Hyejin started putting in real effort. During commutes and late nights, she studied fashion, observed people's clothing, and familiarized herself with trends. Slowly, her progress became visible at work. She began to understand technical terms, and her performance improved. Even Sungjun acknowledged the change, though she still remained clumsy at times. Shin Hyuk took her to enjoy street food, where he comforted her and reassured her that clumsiness wasn't something to be ashamed of. His warmth brought her a small sense of relief. Meanwhile, Hari returned home to celebrate her father's birthday. Tensions rose with her stepmother, and during an argument, her father hit her without hearing her side. Emotionally hurt, she tried calling Hyejin but received no response. Alone and vulnerable, she ended up at a bar. She had originally planned to meet Sungjun that evening to reveal the truth, but everything fell apart. Sungjun somehow found out she was there and rushed to the bar. A drunk man tried to flirt with Hari, leading to a scuffle where all three got minor injuries. Sungjun took care of her, bringing her to the hospital, buying first aid, and taking her to eat. During the meal, he opened up about his own painful past. Hari listened silently, choosing not to reveal her own truth. A quiet sense of connection formed between them. The next day, at his usual coffee shop, fate played its card again. Hyejin's younger sister, who looked exactly like Hyejin did in childhood, accidentally left behind a diary. Just as Sung-joon stood stunned, hearing that the little girl before him was Hyejin's sister, the real Hyejin, watching from afar, felt her heart race with panic. She immediately dialed his number and, in a calm but urgent voice, told him that the chief editor needed to see him at once. Without hesitation, Sung-joon left the scene, unaware of how close he had come to the truth. On his way back to the office, he glanced up at the sky and took a photo of its calm, fading colors. He sent it to Hari, not knowing the truth behind the screen. Hari smiled faintly at the image. In that moment, she felt like someone genuinely cared for her, something she hadn't felt in a long time. Elsewhere, Hyejin also tried to capture the same sky, but Shin Hyuk interrupted her playfully. Unaware of her inner turmoil, he had slowly begun falling for her, not for her appearance, but for her sincerity, her clumsiness, her heart. The next morning, Hyejin was assigned to pick up a magazine partner with Sung-joon from the airport. But he didn't tell her which airport. Unsure, she chose the farthest one. On the way, heavy traffic brought them to a standstill. With every second ticking by, they risked missing the artist's arrival. Feeling responsible, Hyejin rushed out of the car and persuaded a delivery rider on a scooter to take Sung-joon instead. He sped off through the jammed roads. When she finally reached the airport, the task had already been completed. Sung-joon had arrived in time. But instead of appreciation, she was met with his cold, harsh criticism. Unable to contain her emotions any longer, she snapped. In front of everyone, she pointed out his rude behavior and how he treated those beneath him with cruelty. Slamming the door behind her, she left alone, hurt, angry, and exhausted. Meanwhile, at Hari's apartment, her father came to visit. He apologized for raising his hand and asked her to make peace with her stepmother. But the pain of seeing him care more for someone else than his own daughter weighed heavy on her. With silent grief, she submerged herself in the depths of the swimming pool, seeking comfort in its stillness. Back at the company, Sung-joon noticed something unexpected. Hyejin walked past carrying the exact umbrella he once gave Hari, the one that held a memory from his painful past. It seemed like a coincidence, but something inside him stirred. Later that night, Hyejin visited a pub to drown her worries. On her way back, Hari ran into Sung-joon. Noticing her troubled expression, he brought her to a badminton court. As they played, her heart lightened. The laughter broke through her sadness. In that moment, she opened up about her mother, the emptiness she felt. He too shared his past, of a lonely childhood and how someone once stood by him, helping him cope. Hearing those words, Hari felt a wave of guilt crash over her. She was not that person from his childhood Hyejin was. Yet here she was, receiving the affection meant for someone else. That same night, Hyejin, heavily drunk and lost in her thoughts, wandered the streets with Shin Hyuk. She ranted, cried, and called out Sung-joon's name, accusing him of being heartless. When she dialed his number, he calmly advised her to go home if she had been drinking, unaware of the weight in her voice. The next morning, she woke up with the memories of her foolishness flooding back. Embarrassed, she avoided eye contact with everyone. Then she noticed something unusual. Hari, who never dressed conservatively, was wearing long jeans. It wasn't because of her stepmother or her father's words, but because of Sung-joon. He had advised her to dress warmly the night before, and unlike anyone else, she listened to him. Opening her phone, Hyejin discovered the call log. She had indeed called Sung-joon. Panic took over. She rushed to Shin Hyuk to confirm what had happened. He mentioned that she had scolded him the previous night, so Shin Hyuk quickly grabbed the phone and ended the call to cover up. But when she met Sung-joon in person, he seemed different. He didn't scold her at all. At the company party that night, the chief editor praised Sung-joon for successfully securing a collaboration with a renowned artist. Forced to drink alcohol during the celebration, he eventually collapsed outside. Hyejin and Shin Hyuk helped him to his hotel room. While inside, Hyejin opened the fridge and noticed it contained only mineral water. Concerned about his well-being, she quietly left with Shin Hyuk, but then realized she had forgotten her phone inside. Using her quick thinking, she managed to unlock the door and went back in. Sung-joon was still asleep. She spotted the familiar puzzle from their past and reached out to touch it. Suddenly, Sung Joon appeared behind her, startling her, and the puzzle fell and broke. Despite explaining that she and Shin Hyuk had brought him there, he didn't believe her because now she was alone in the room. Feeling helpless, she walked out. Just then, she noticed one of her shoes was still inside, and one of his had been left outside. A moment later, his shoe came out from the room, pushed gently by a stick. She quickly swapped the shoes back and left. Meanwhile, at Hari's hotel, she was assigned to deliver a music player to a VIP guest. In the hallway, she accidentally grabbed a sloppily dressed man, thinking he was suspicious, but he turned out to be none other than the mysterious, successful author Shin Hyuk himself. While going through her old belongings, Hae-jin found the missing piece of the puzzle, the one Sung Joon had given her in childhood. Later, when her colleagues requested her presence at the office, Hae-jin went in. But when she saw Sung Joon arriving unexpectedly, she hid inside a shelf. There, she overheard the heartbreaking truth. The magazine was at risk of being shut down, and that's why Sung Joon had been putting pressure on everyone. As she was leaving, she unknowingly dropped the puzzle piece near the office door. At the gym, Hari ran into Sung Joon. Even though she had finished her workout, she continued just to spend more time with him. The next day, while crossing the road, Sung Joon heard the familiar phrase, "Green light, let's go," and saw Hae-jin again, bringing back memories of his childhood friend. At work, Hae-jin realized the puzzle piece was missing. She frantically searched for it, unaware that Sung Joon had stepped on it and carried it with him. In his office, she pretended to drop her pen and bent down to retrieve the puzzle from under his shoe. But he misunderstood her behavior and asked her to leave. Later, as Sung Joon walked through the hallway, the puzzle piece finally slipped out from his shoe. Shin Hyuk, who had figured out the truth the night before, that Hae-jin was Sung Joon's first love, noticed it. He picked it up and returned it to her. She thanked him sincerely. At the supermarket, Hari ran into Shin Hyuk and paid his bill as an apology for the previous day. They ended up eating together. Meanwhile, Hae-jin called Hari and asked her to come back so they could go home together. By the time she arrived, Shin Hyuk had already gone back into the hotel. Feeling deeply guilty for pretending to be someone she wasn't, Hari asked Shin Hyuk to act as her fiancé, hoping to finally stop Sung Joon from getting closer to her. That night, both Hari and Shin Hyuk set out to meet Sung Joon and reveal the truth. But on the way, it began to rain, and Sung Joon was delayed due to an accident blocking the road. Sung Joon came out of the car and collapsed in the middle of a busy road. The memories of his mother's death overwhelmed him and made him weak. On her way back home in the bus, Hae-jin spotted him. She quickly rushed to comfort him, covering him with her jacket. He felt something, a warm presence, just like his first love. She arranged a car to send him home. At the same time, Hari left Shin Hyuk and went to Sung Joon's place. She didn't go there to break up, but when she saw his condition, she quietly stayed and tried to make porridge for him. Meanwhile, Hae-jin was worried about Sung Joon. She asked Shin Hyuk to take some porridge to his place, and promised to fulfill 3 of his wishes in return. Convinced, Shin Hyuk went to see Sung Joon. Seeing his condition, he decided to take care of him. He even replaced the porridge Hari made with the one he brought. The next morning, Sung Joon was surprised to see Shin Hyuk still there. He was wearing Sung Joon's underwear, because he didn't bring a change of clothes. The following day at the office, Hae-jin caught a cold due to the rain. Sung Joon, feeling a quiet kindness toward her, brought medicine. But by the time he reached her, Shin Hyuk was already taking care of her. Sung Joon silently threw the medicine he brought into the trash. That day, Hae-jin had to work late despite her fever. Just as she was about to pass out, Sung Joon caught her. Later, when a colleague wearing a scary face mask startled him, he accidentally sat in Hae-jin's lap. Embarrassed, he quickly got up. That night, he accompanied her on the bus. He let her lean on his shoulder, quietly covering his face with a book. The next day, Sung Joon met Hari while it was raining. He noticed something strange: she wasn't afraid of rain. It made him feel something was off. He couldn't understand his feelings for Hari anymore. But with hygiene, he felt something real, like his first love. At home, Hari heard from Hygiene that their magazine was at risk of shutting down. She realized that if that happened, Sungjun might leave. Frustrated, she went to meet Shin Hyuk. Not knowing it was about Sungjun, he encouraged her to fight for her love. The next day, Hari found the missing puzzle and made a selfish plan to hold on to him. But at the office, Sungjun slowly began developing real feelings for Hygiene. Fate had other plans. Everything changed when Hari showed Sungjun a puzzle piece and claimed she had been keeping it for decades. Believing her, he decided to go with his first love. At the office, he returned to his cold and distant behavior. A new task was assigned. Hygiene had to accompany Sungjun on a business trip. His behavior during the trip remained cold. At the restaurant, even though she warned him about the expensive prices, he still ordered the most expensive meal. But when it was time to pay, he realized he had left his wallet at the office. With no other choice, both of them had to work like farmers to pay off the bill. They were completely exhausted by the end of it. Later, Hygiene realized she had lost her employee card. Feeling how important it was to her, Sungjun quietly helped find it. When she explained it was her first employee card in a big company, he said the puzzle piece she broke was also very precious to him, more valuable than gold. Those words touched her deeply. As they talked about traveling alone, Hygiene's words echoed exactly how Sungjun felt. It broke the ice between them. Then he opened up about his childhood in America. How he had a friend who used to write letters to him. Even though he was bullied, those letters helped him survive. But one day, the letters stopped. That silence hurt him for a long time. To lighten the mood, Hygiene went to play with a nearby dog. While she wasn't looking, Sungjun quietly took pictures of her. That night, they sat down for dinner. Their conversation flowed so smoothly, it felt like they'd known each other for a long time. Even they didn't realize how much time had passed. At one point, Hygiene felt ready to tell him that he was not alone, and that she was the real Hygiene. But just then, Shin Hyuk appeared. He was afraid something would happen between them. Something that might make him lose Hygiene. All three started drinking together. Neither of the men liked the other when it came to Hygiene. During the drinking, Shin Hyuk deliberately showed affection toward her, just to make Sungjun jealous. Eventually, Sungjun passed out. Hygiene and Shin Hyuk helped him to his room. There, Shin Hyuk noticed something that upset him. Sungjun had secretly taken a photo of Hygiene. Back at the office, Sungjun started behaving more cheerfully. Everyone was surprised. Shin Hyuk, though, felt uneasy. Later, while eating with Hygiene, she told him she had decided to reveal her true identity to Sungjun. He wasn't happy. Unable to hold it in any longer, Shin Hyuk confessed his true feelings for her. At the same time, Hari met Sungjun. She expressed her feelings through a kiss. That very moment, Shin Hyuk happened to see them. To stop Hygiene from noticing, he hugged her tightly. From then on, whenever Hari sat beside Hygiene, she felt guilt building up inside her. Meanwhile, Shin Hyuk wanted to tell Sungjun the truth. That Hygiene was his real first love. But he couldn't do it. When Hygiene's shoe sole broke, Shin Hyuk carried her. While walking, he asked her decision to reveal her true identity to Sungjun. She was still unsure. But this scene was seen by Sungjun while he was on the way to the movie theater. Distracted, he hit a car. Sungjun was confused about his feelings for two different girls. He went to the movie theater with Hari, but his mind wasn't enjoying the moment. The next day, while crossing the traffic light, he saw Hygiene saying, "Green light, let's go." He stopped her because it reminded him of his first love. That day, she had also decided to finally reveal that she was his long-lost childhood friend. At the office, due to pressure from the US team, Sungjun was already irritated. He saw a conservative employee carelessly touching a designer dress, even though she had rings on her hands. He scolded her, fearing the dress might tear. The responsibility of caring for the gown was given to Hygiene. But when one of her colleagues asked her to take out car keys, she had to leave the dress for a moment. During that time, the model wore the dress, and it was found to be damaged. Without knowing the truth, Sung Joon got very angry and fired Hyejin. She felt deeply disappointed. After she left, another colleague burst into tears and confessed she had damaged the dress. Sung Joon was speechless, he didn't know what to say or do. Meanwhile, Hari kept calling him, intending to reveal the truth about herself. During the day, Shin Hyuk told Hari that Hyejin was about to reveal her identity to Sung Joon. He warned her that if she didn't speak up, she would lose both her best friend and the man she loved. When Hari called Hyejin and found out Sung Joon had fired her, she rushed to Hyejin and hugged her apologetically. The next day, to cheer her up, Shin Hyuk asked Hyejin to accompany him. At first, she wasn't ready, but she agreed to fulfill a promise she had made earlier. Even though she couldn't love him, she enjoyed the time and felt relieved without pressure. At the office, Shin Hyuk showed Sung Joon a collection of simple yet creative designs made by Hyejin. He questioned Sung Joon's feelings for her, but received no response. Instead, when asked about his own feelings, Shin Hyuk silently acknowledged them. He then urged Sung Joon to bring Hyejin back to the company. Sung Joon met Hyejin and asked her to return, but she rejected the offer. The real reason was that her department head had already offered her another position. The next day, at the office, Hyejin appeared in a completely new makeover. Her colleagues were happy to see her. But Shin Hyuk liked her old appearance. He understood she came back to work mainly for money. In a meeting, Hyejin proactively gave ideas to feature ordinary people instead of famous ones. Sung Joon also accepted her thoughts. At Sung Joon's office, he returned her ID card and asked her to stick with the company. Due to high stress, Hari's condition worsened and Shin Hyuk accompanied her. He understood her feelings. At home, Hari saw Hyejin cooking for her, the only one who truly cared. She remembered how her stepmom once threw a check when she was sick. Now, due to guilt over cheating her best friend, Hari hugged Hyejin and silently begged her to pursue her happiness, just for 2 months. At the same time, Shin Hyuk also tried to pursue Hyejin by chasing her and giving her a designer bag as a gift. When the big event day of the Most magazine arrived, many celebrities and guests attended. Sung Joon had to deliver a speech in English, but he got stuck because it started raining, triggering memories of his mother's death. Hyejin was worried and understood the real reason behind his struggle. To buy time, the chief editor stepped onto the stage and handled the situation gracefully, impressing the audience. Meanwhile, Sung Joon overcame his fear of the rain and arrived just in time. He felt relieved seeing how well the chief editor managed things. He apologized, but she didn't criticize him. Hyejin sat close to him, offering silent support. Back at the office, when colleagues started bad-mouthing Sung Joon, Hyejin defended him. Sung Joon appeared and stopped her, not wanting her to get involved in a fight. Outside, he thanked her for standing up for him. Later, when a magazine reporter offered Hyejin an opportunity to write an article on the theme of fairy tales, she declined out of fear and lack of confidence. Sung Joon then took her aside and encouraged her, reminding her that opportunities don't knock often, and if she didn't take it now, she might regret it forever. The next day, she met the reporter and expressed her interest in writing the article. Meanwhile, Hari spent quality time with Shin Hyuk. He took her on a bike ride, and it felt refreshing. That moment gave her the strength to write a letter to reveal her true identity to Sung Joon. She called him and arranged a meeting. At the office, while gathering information for her article, Hyejin borrowed a colleague's car key. But they later realized the car had a problem. Shin Hyuk became worried and tried to call her. Sung Joon, while waiting to meet Hari, also heard about the incident and rushed out. Shin Hyuk too hurried to the location. Sung Joon's mind was filled with thoughts of Hyejin. He didn't care about the rain anymore. As he approached the rescue area, he heard Hyejin's voice. She was safe, and he hugged her tightly. This scene was witnessed by Shin Hyuk, who was heartbroken but silently walked away. Actually, while driving, Hyejin noticed smoke from the engine, so she parked and got out to seek help. When she spotted Sung Joon, she asked if he was okay in the rain, surprising him, because only his first love knew about his trauma. That confirmed his feelings. Later, when Shin Hyuk dropped her home, she made up her mind to reveal her true identity to Sung Joon. But as she arrived at the hotel, she saw Hari standing with him. It was a heart-shattering moment. Her best friend had deceived her. The shock was too much for Hyejin. She walked aimlessly through the streets and sat alone on a bus, not realizing it had reached the last stop. Broken and helpless, she called Shin Hyuk. He came immediately, sat with her quietly, and dropped her home. Sadly, even though he was the most caring and genuine person in her life, she couldn't love him back. When Hyejin saw Hari inside the room, she chose to remain silent, deciding to wait until Hari confessed on her own. From the very next day, she began to distance herself from Sung Joon. In meetings and even inside his office, she deliberately avoided any interaction with him. However, the chief editor asked her to deliver a package to Sung Joon. When she arrived at his hotel, Sung Joon invited her in for tea. Nervous and unsettled, she accidentally spilled the tea on herself. He kindly offered her his jacket and gently confessed that he had special feelings for her, though he wasn't sure if it could be called love just yet. His words shook her. She wanted to tell him the truth but hesitated, afraid of hurting her best friend. Meanwhile, Shin Hyuk revealed to Hari that Hyejin already knew everything. Hari, filled with guilt, returned home with a heavy heart and thanked Hyejin for her understanding, asking for a little more time. The next day, Hyejin went for an interview with a comic book author who had always inspired her. The author encouraged her to follow her dreams. Later, Hyejin met Sung Joon at an exhibition showcasing his favorite writer. They spoke freely and comfortably, and before parting ways, she asked if they could meet again the next day, knowing well that Hari would finally tell him the truth that evening. Hari called Sung Joon and arranged to meet him. At the same time, Hyejin learned that Shin Hyuk had gotten into an accident while out searching for her. She rushed to him, filled with guilt. When they met, he gave her a gentle hug, his final request, and confessed that he liked her deeply. He didn't want to stay just friends, but he also knew he couldn't force her heart. Meanwhile, everything collapsed for Sung Joon when he visited the hotel and accidentally saw Hari's name on the best employee board. With a heavy heart, he went to meet Hari. There, she confessed the truth and admitted that the stupid girl he had overlooked in the office was actually his first love all along. Devastated, Sung Joon blamed himself for failing to recognize her, for being rude to the very person who had always shown him kindness. Around the same time, Shin Hyuk, still holding on to hope, confessed his feelings to Hyejin once more. But then she received a call from Sung Joon. That moment, she knew. He had finally discovered the truth. Without hesitation, Hyejin ran from Shin Hyuk, leaving behind a kind and caring heart, breaking it in the process. She had only one thing on her mind now. She needed to see Sung Joon. And finally, they met. Overwhelmed with emotions, Hyejin couldn't find the words. She and Sung Joon finally spoke openly. He apologized, his heart heavy with guilt for not recognizing her sooner. But to her, none of that mattered anymore. She had spent so long worrying about her appearance, yet in his eyes, she had always been the one he truly loved. When he mentioned Hari and revealed he had found out the truth by himself, Hyejin quietly returned home. There, she found Hari, weighed down by sorrow and guilt. She had hoped for love, but it all came crashing down. And despite everything, Hyejin understood her pain. She saw the letter Hari had written, the one where she planned to confess the truth to Sung Joon. That letter softened Hyejin's heart. She felt the ache behind her friend's betrayal. Determined to move on, Hyejin tried to act just like a friend in front of Sung Joon. But he sensed the change, and it worried him. When she met Shin Hyuk, his face was pale. Without saying much, she handed him the money for his hospital bills, but he simply left. Later, she saw Hari returning to her old ways, hanging out with random guys again. They spoke and both realized they could no longer be around each other. Their closeness now only brought pain. So, Hyejin left for her parents' home. There, her parents asked about Hari. They had always treated her like their own daughter. That only deepened Hyejin's sadness. Then one day, Sung Joon came to her house. He met her parents, sat with them, and shared honestly that he and Hyejin were slowly building a connection. Her parents smiled, treating him like their future son-in-law. Hygiene felt a mix of embarrassment and warmth. That night, Sung Joon had a little too much to drink and ended up sleeping there. As she gazed at him in the quiet night, he suddenly woke up. They stepped outside to talk. He gently asked why she was still avoiding him. And she finally said it was because of Hari. But Sung Joon looked into her eyes and told her, even during the time he was unknowingly with Hari, he had only ever felt something real for Hygiene. He begged her not to push him away again. Elsewhere, Hari met her biological mother, a woman who had abandoned her long ago. The mother apologized and asked her to live together. But Hari was cold. It wasn't until she found out her mother was leaving the country that she broke down and called her, speaking straight from her heart. Meanwhile, the Most magazine faced a major crisis. Despite a past successful event, they had fallen to second place in the rankings. Shin Hyuk was crushed. He decided to resign. Sung Joon personally asked him to stay. He confessed that if the magazine didn't reach number 1 for its upcoming 20th anniversary, it would be shut down. Shin Hyuk didn't answer right away. At the same time, Hygiene found out that Hari had quit her job and disappeared without telling anyone. She rushed to the airport in tears, thinking she was losing her friend forever. But then, there she was. Hari appeared, not to leave, but to send her mother off. The two hugged tightly. Their friendship had survived everything. Then, Shin Hyuk returned. With a brilliant plan to bring the Most back to the top, he met Sung Joon. Sung Joon saw his genius and welcomed him back. The whole team was overjoyed. Even with Hygiene, Shin Hyuk chose to just be a friend. At home, Hyejin's little sister teased her, saying Sung Joon often came by to flirt with her. Worried that it would hurt Hari, Hygiene hesitated, but Hari reassured her. Sung Joon no longer affected her heart. She told Hygiene to pursue her happiness. Then one day, Sung Joon collapsed. He had been pushing himself too hard. Earlier, his nose had bled at the office, a warning sign. At the hospital, Hygiene rushed to see him. He pulled her close, and this time, she didn't resist. She embraced her feelings fully. That night, they shared their first kiss. Back at work, Sung Joon looked brighter. But Hygiene asked him to keep their relationship a secret at the office. At home, he was already being treated like part of the family. When he left, he happened to run into Hari. They sat and talked. He forgave her sincerely and called her a friend. Later, Hari told Hygiene about that conversation. Everything had finally settled. Wounds were healing. Relationships mending. Love finally blossomed without guilt. Everything was slowly returning to the way it was meant to be. At the office, things turned worse. The headquarters began pressuring Sung Joon to improve results quickly. The failure of the 20th anniversary edition could damage his reputation and career. Initially, his colleagues were upset that he didn't share his burden with them, but once they understood the situation, they united as a team, determined to work day and night to save the Most magazine. Their spirits were lifted when a famous celebrity agreed to promote the magazine's anniversary poster on his personal social media. It gave them hope and motivation. Sung Joon promised Hygiene that after the magazine's success, he would officially propose to her. She agreed to wait patiently. But fate had other plans. The highly anticipated artist interview was suddenly cancelled due to unavoidable reasons. Everyone was heartbroken, especially Sung Joon. As they desperately searched for a replacement, it was Uncle Kim who suggested reaching out to the mysterious author Ten, a global best-selling writer whose identity was a secret. Sung Joon visited Ten's publisher, but even they only received manuscripts through email. With no other choice, Sung Joon sent him a heartfelt message. Back at the office, the team braced for the worst, determined to create their best-ever articles regardless. They worked tirelessly, laughed together, and cherished what could be their final days together. Then the day of the 20th anniversary arrived. In a surprise announcement, the second-generation director revealed that Uncle Kim was a major investor, a hidden tycoon. Just as everyone was reeling, Sung Joon received a reply from Ten. Rushing to meet him, Sung Joon was shocked to discover that Ten was none other than Shin Hyuk. Shin Hyuk had no plans to reveal his identity. But seeing the dedication of the team and Sung Joon's sincerity, he changed his mind and agreed to an exclusive interview. However, Sung Joon hesitated, worried that public exposure might harm Shin Hyuk. But to his surprise, the magazine had already published the interview and photos. Shin Hyuk himself had done it. It was his final gift to Jin. Even when Sung Joon tried to reach out, Shin Hyuk had checked out of his hotel. He had vanished. Later, Shin Hyuk video called the team, thanking each one with heartfelt memories. It was his farewell. He had decided to return to his parents in America. And with his final gift, the Most magazine returned to number 1. Sung Joon was called back to the headquarters. Meanwhile, Jin had earlier given an interview for the story writing department and was selected. Both of them decided to focus on their careers first. He gave her a ring as a promise for their future. Jin had to part ways with Hari as she left to pursue her writing dreams. Before leaving, the two spent beautiful, carefree moments together just like old times. Sung Joon also left. Time passed. They stayed in touch through long-distance calls. Jin returned to her old, natural appearance, embracing her true self. A year later, Sung Joon came back. They reunited, and he became the new editor-in-chief of The Most. Hari went to fulfill her dream of opening a hotel. Shin Hyuk continued to write stories in his own mysterious way. Now Jin had enough to support her family. They gave her their savings back, money they had saved for her wedding, bringing tears to her eyes. Finally, her dream also came true. Her first book was published. And then, it was time for the wedding. Hari gifted her the flower crown and headband. In a stunning wedding dress, Jin walked hand in hand with Sung Joon. After all the chaos, pain, and growth, they were finally together. Their journey continued, hand in hand, forever.